Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Again, we are working on the BMW 760 Ally. Before we get into things, make sure you give this video a like, it really does help me out and it shows your appreciation. Now, what are we doing today? So as you can see, the car is up in the air. It is on some axle stands, the front wheels are off the ground, and that is because we're swapping out the front control arms. Now, this video is not going to be specific to BMW 7 Series. It's going to be pretty much the exact same process, you know, whichever BMW you have, as long as it is from the same era. So BMW E90, BMW E60, or any of the BMW 1 Series from the same era, it's going to be pretty much the exact same process. So of course we have 4 control arms in total. So these arms here, these are the frontmost control arms, and then just behind it we have those ones there. Generally when it comes to control arms, I like to use Febi or Lemforda. Now obviously Lemforda make the genuine BMW items, but in this case I could not seem to find a Lemforda kit which came with the replacement nuts and bolts. Obviously I managed to find a Febi kit that came with these, so all 4 control arms come with new bolts and new nuts, and everything that I have already replaced on the front end is Febi Bilstein as well. So we've already swapped out the drop links, the track rod ends, the boots, and also the front anti-roll bar bushes as well. So yeah, it's going to mean pretty much that we have overhauled the front steering and suspension setup for this car. But yeah, I guess sit tight, enjoy the video, and let's get cracking. So then, coming underneath the car, first thing is first, we need to remove this front under tray. So it is held in by a bunch of these push rivets. If you can get a Phillips screwdriver in there, release that and then lever it out. There is in total 4 of those, and there's also 4 of these plastic screws as well, release those. Then there is just 2 8mm head screws as well, 1 on either side, holding this front lip in place. Next thing we'll do is get the wheels removed. Brake caliper still looking nice and fresh. Okay, so with both wheels now off, I've also removed this small protective cover as well. It's just over the bush on the thrust arm. Don't really know what it's doing because it's protecting the bush a little bit from dirt and debris, but yeah, that was literally just placed on there. So that's that removed, and now we should be able to access all of the nuts and bolts now. So of course there's 1 bolt that goes through that bush there with a nut on the end. So we can either release the nut or we can keep the nut steady and then release the bolt. So I'll see what has better access to get a socket on there. Okay then, so here's the situation. So I've put an 18mm spanner on the nut, and now I'm just loosening the bolt. The nut should stay where it is, just resting on the anti-roll bar there. Now I have a suspicion that these have been replaced once in the past. This bolt was tight, but I don't think it was tight enough. I'm sure these have to be like 100 Newton-meters or so, and that did not feel like 100 Newton-meters. So yeah, we'll just keep loosening this off until we get the nut free, and then we should be able to slide the bolt out then. So then, have the nut removed, have the bolt pretty much halfway out, but as you can see it is now hitting on this, which I believe is the duct for the brakes. So what I'm going to do is remove this splash shield and then get that duct out of the way, and then I should be able to pull the bolt fully out then. There we are then, with the brake duct in out of the way. Much better access now. Should be able to just pull this bolt straight out. There we are, it's the bolt removed. This bush should now drop down. There we are. And now on the ball joint end, we have a 22mm nut, which has a Allen key slot in the end of it. So essentially you're supposed to hold the ball joint steady with an Allen key, and then obviously loosen the nut with a wrench, but I'm just going to try and impact that, see if it's going to come straight off. Almost off. There we are. That's the nut removed, and yeah, these have definitely been replaced because I don't think they come with nylon locking nuts from factory. I should be able to remove this arm fully now. There we are, that's the first control arm removed. Let's have a quick look at how much this control arm has worn. It appears to be in good condition. No tears or any rips of any kind. I can see the bush has a little bit of play in it. Don't think that's a massive issue though. The ball joint, yeah, that has quite a lot of play in it. That's quite floppy. But it isn't torn in any way. But I have no idea when these were replaced last, so yeah, it's just as well that we swap it out anyway. Okay, let's try the exact same for the rear control arm. As you can see, I have an 18mm wrench on the bolt, and then I'm going to try and release the nut off of the end of it. Nut removed, managed to impact that one off. I just noticed we have the level sensor for the headlights as well. That's just held into the arm by a 10mm nut, so I'll also get that removed. So here is the bolt removed then. It's important, I guess, when it comes to reinstallation, that the bolt goes through this bracket as well, because that's what's kind of holding the headlight level sensor in place. So it's a good job we are replacing these rear control arms. As you can see, this one is now removed. There's a date in it that says 07, so maybe these were swapped out in 2007. They do look pretty old, which that would still make it 15 years old. But have a look at the state of this ball joint. Completely gone, no grease in there whatsoever. Now you probably noticed that the end of this is pretty destroyed. That is because I had to improvise and just cut the nut off once I got it so far with the impact wrench. Yeah, no chance you're getting a Torx bit in there. It's all chewed up and rusted, so yeah, improvise, adapt, overcome, or whatever the saying is. But yeah, that's this side now removed. I'm going to remove the other side, and then we will reinstall the arms all together. Okay, so as you can see, this side removed as well. That's all 4 control arms now removed. Let's go ahead, get the new ones installed. It should be the exact opposite of removal. So I'm going to start with the rear control arms first, get those installed, then I'll do the front ones, and then once we have them all installed, then I'll show you what we need to do with regards to the torquing sequence. So then, all of the new control arms are now installed. As you can see, both sides done. Now, I haven't torqued these down yet. It's important when it comes to the bushes, so this bush here, that bush there, they need to be torqued down when the car is under load, when the suspension is under load. Essentially, if you torque them up when the car is up in the air like this, then these bushes will not last long. They'll end up getting chewed up. So essentially what we need to do is reinstall the wheels and then put the car down on some ramps, and then what I'll do is I'll drive it back, drive it forward, just let the suspension settle, and then we can go ahead and torque these down. These are just hand tight at the moment, so I've just got a socket on there, spanner on there, just done it hand tight just so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to actually do the same with the ball joints as well. I'll torque them down once the wheels are on, even though I don't believe it is necessary. I don't think it really matters with ball joints, but I'll do the same anyway. So yeah, I guess let's get the wheels on. Let's get all this torqued down. Okay, so the car is now back on the ramps. I've driven back and forth. It's time to start torquing down the control arms. Now for the torque specs, if ever you need any torque specs for a BMW, ISTA will have pretty much everything you need. So essentially the rear arm and the front arm, they're exactly the same. So for the bush is 100 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, again for the front arm, and then for both of the ball joints 165 Newton meters. Okay then, so of course torque down the bushes first to 100 Newton meters. There we are, it's 100. It's also 100 Newton meters. That's that side done as well. And while I have the torque wrench out, I'm just going to torque down all of the ball joints as well. Of course, down to 165 Newton meters, which should be fun. That's one. There's two. There's three. There's four. It's not easy doing this on the floor. Oh well, what can you do? Right then, so that is all of the ball joints now torqued down. All that's left is the final torquing for the bushes, all of the control arm bushes. So I've obviously done them all to 100 Newton meters. I've now just got to go for a quarter of a turn, so another 90 degrees, which I'm sure is going to be extremely fun, trying to do it in this tiny space here. Okay, so yes, the nut was moving, so I'll put a spanner on there now, if it would stay on. There we are. Now, of course I was using the breaker bar. That's too long, I'm just not going to be able to get any sort of turn on it. I tried to put it on and it was literally already touching the ground, so just got my extended ratchet here. Let's see if we can have any success with this. Right, so same again, so 90 degrees should be about there. So if I go to the ground, that should be about halfway. Oh, I might actually get all the way around because this isn't too long. There we are. It's about 90 degrees. Yeah, much better doing it with this extended ratchet as opposed to just a regular breaker bar. If you don't have one of these, by the way, I highly recommend it. For the longest time ever, I was just using a regular ratchet, and it makes all the difference having that extra leverage. You know, this can break loose, you know, even the tightest of bolts, but yeah, it's proved invaluable for that bolt just there. If you do want to get yourself one, I'll try and find a link and then leave it in the description if you want to get yourself one. It wasn't expensive either. Let's do the same for this rear bush as well. That was probably like 20 degrees. Probably another 20 degrees. Another 20 degrees. Another 20 degrees. And a bit more. That should probably do us. There we go. Probably 3 lots of 30. Torquing done. Now we've got the under trays to reinstall, so that means the wheels have to come back off because I still need to install the brake ducts. So yeah, jack the car up again, wheels off, brake ducts installed, and then all the other under trays as well. Wheels back on, get the car on the ground, and then we're done. Okay then, so under trays are all back on, the brake ducts, this splash shield, even the small cover for the end of these bushes as well, and of course the main under tray itself. Now I guess all that's left to do is get this car on the ground and take it for a bit of a test drive. Okay then guys, so just took the car for a test drive, and pretty much straight away, I don't know if it's placebo, but the car feels more firmer, it feels stiffer, it feels, you know, more together. Not that it felt particularly sloppy before, you know, the handling has always been good on this car, but yeah, it just feels a lot tighter now. Like I said, it could be a placebo effect, but the fact that we had at least one bad ball joint before, that probably wasn't helping things. But yeah, I'm just glad that the front control arms are now swapped out. That's pretty much the whole front end refurbished. And yeah, that's like pretty much all I want to do with regards to suspension on this car. Like I said, it drives and handles great, stops great as well, of course. And yes, another job ticked off the list. Hopefully you all have enjoyed this video anyway. If you do want to get these parts that I have used today, I'll try and find links and leave them down in the description box below. I want to thank all of you for watching. Please give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and we'll see you all in that next one. Peace!